Okay. Well, hello, everyone. And Pauline Riley, we need you to tell us if you can hear us. And I should actually be able to, where's my cursor? My cursor's over here. So if I click here, I should be able to go, if I'm on eCam, I should be able to get to the, I want to see comments. To see if we get comments. Okay, cool. So here we go. Looking lovely, ladies. Let's see if I can do that. So now she's on screen.
There you go.
Hello, Pauline Riley.
Hi.
And hello, that's Judy Hayes. I don't know why we can't read your words. They're supposed to be white. Anyways, we're here. So tell us if you can hear us. That's the most important thing before we start, is to make sure that you guys can in fact hear us. And I know there's always a little bit of a lag time, but let me see if you can, if you guys can hear us, then we're going to get started because I'm here with Maria Ahl-Zanier, who is here from Sweden.
Yes, so excited. And I'm all confused. I don't know what screen to look at because it's like, okay, this is awesome. I'm so happy to be here.
Yep. So she's in my creative studio. And of course, you know, there are always technology glitches. And so we got it to work just like a few minutes ago. So we're super excited to be broadcasting from my creative studio. And we've been having the most wonderful time. And so what we thought we would do today is, you guys know I'm live every Wednesday at noon Pacific time. I'm Ann LaFollette, and I run a business called A is for Art. Maria is visiting from Sweden. And so, Maria, talk a little bit about your business before we talk about our incredible trip yesterday.
Okay, so I'm a watercolor artist and I'm a designer, and I started my my artistic journey in San Francisco, and that's why I'm here. I wanted to have a little homecoming, is that what you call it, Anne? Yes, so we have been seeing where I went to school, where I went to get some fabric, and all this good stuff. It's been so much fun.
It's been incredibly fun. And so I'm wearing one of my designs because I'm a surface pattern designer and I teach people how to do surface design, which is it's basically turning your doodles into dollars by putting them on fabric or on wrapping paper. Maria's wearing one of her beautiful creations. She's wearing one of her incredibly beautiful watercolor pieces on a linen dress. And she has an incredible line of linen dresses, as well as tea towels and many other products. So we were just having the most incredible time in San Francisco yesterday, visiting a variety of fabric stores. We also visited some interior design stores, and we visited a really beautiful wallpaper store. And we thought we'd share some pictures with you guys. How does that sound? You can hear, fantastic, it says sounding good. So we're gonna jump in and basically give you guys a little bit of a tour of what we saw yesterday and talk about our biggest takeaways from the visit.
Yeah.
The first place we wanted to go was Britex Fabrics, which is a store that's been in downtown San Francisco for, I think the woman said something like 80 years, 75 or 80 years.
And I went to art school there in the beginning of the 80s, and I used to love going in there. Back then I did a lot of my own clothes, so I was sewing, and I couldn't just imagine, there's 4 levels of this huge store. And I said to Anne, can we please, I didn't remember the name of the store, but I explained to you it was close to Union Square. And right away you said, oh,
I know what it is.
My mom, that was your mom's best store, or like something.
Yeah, my mom's favorite store. My mom loved the store because you go in there and it's basically wall-to-ceiling fabrics. And so I'm going to show you the first picture that we wanted to share, which is the two of us at Britex. And so there we are with all of the fabric behind us. And I'm going to see whether it shows up on here, because that will tell us whether or not we did this correctly, so you can in fact see it or not. And or if you can't see it. So they can't, I don't think they can see that.
Oh.
So that's okay. We're going to figure out. I have my phone open so that I can see whether what I'm showing you is showing up on screen. And we can also play with my buttons. Mm-hmm. Let's do this.
Let you do that.
There we go.
There you go. All right.
So what I want to do is I want to close that one.
Yeah.
So you guys should now be able to see, it's not filling the whole screen, but basically, so we are still here. We're still here. And there we are in the fabric store. Yeah. And the fabric store was really, really incredible. So you can see the tables in front of us that have, I think those were the silks in front.
Yeah.
Right? But it's basically like some of them are, the ones behind us on the wall are single color, right? So they're solids. But then I think I have a picture of another one. So let me open this one. Did that open?
No.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
So this is a really beautiful Liberty print. So when we went upstairs, this was on the second floor, and Maria was walking around and I was looking at the button section. There was a whole section that had buttons in it. Yeah. And Maria found this immediately, and I am a huge fan of Liberty prints. Liberty prints, it's Liberty of London, and they do very small. They're kind of sometimes called a ditzy print. In any event.
And I said, Anne, come over here. You got to see this. And you just fell in love.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And
it's my shirt.
It is. So I have a shirt in that same design that I got about 30 years ago. It's a pink version as opposed to that blue and gray version, but it's exactly the same motifs. And she did it obviously in two different colorways.
Yeah.
Which we all learn about when we're learning about surface design, that you create designs and then you do them in multiple colorways so that people who are attracted to pinks buy the pink one and people who are attracted to blues buy the blue one.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else do we want to say about, let's come back on screen.
I think they were very helpful, and it was nice to know a little bit about the story. They had to move their store location. So first we didn't find it, but then you found it you Googled it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I totally knew where it was because it's right across, it's on Union Square, and it used to be right across from Neiman Marcus. And so we went there, and of course it's vacant. There's this big vacant building. And so I said, but I know that I looked at it and it said it was open. And so I just had not looked at the address, and it was just around the corner.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was really nice to get back there. But then we were finished in Union Square and all the kind of busyness down there. So we took a little drive up towards Pacific Heights, and we ended up on Sacramento Street.
We did. We ended up on Sacramento Street. And first of all, we have to say hi to Jane Foster because Jane Foster's here live with us in the comments. And Jane, we're coming over to see you as soon as we finish here. And I am wearing this is my very first pattern that I put on fabric. And Jane Foster, who sews incredibly beautiful and teaches sewing, she actually turned it into this shirt for me. And so I would not have even started down this path of putting my designs and turning them into shirts without Jane's help. So I wanted to give Jane a huge, huge shout out. And she is across the bay from me. And so Maria and I are going to go visit her after we do our live with you today.
Yay.
So thank you, Jane, for joining us. I didn't buy that fabric, Jane, but I might go back.
You have to, Anne.
Yeah, I might go back. So we went to, switching gears, we went to Sacramento Street, which is a beautiful little small shopping street. We also did a couple blocks on Fillmore, right? A couple blocks on Fillmore.
Find the house that we lived in.
So we found the house that she was the au pair in.
Yes.
Like 25 years ago. 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And when she was very, very young. When she was a teenager. When she was a teenager. So very, very much. But isn't that cool? So we basically drove around until she said, that's the house.
Yeah. Yeah. It was beautiful.
That's the house. That's the house. All right, so let me show you guys Serena and Lily. So Jane Foster probably is familiar with Serena and Lily. It's a beautiful store in, so I have to do that. I'm pushing my various buttons, I'm learning how to use all these buttons in my studio. So this is a portion of the Serena and Lily store, and it is It's an interior design store where you can purchase pillows and artwork and chairs and couches and
And I think what took me the most was like when you, as soon as you stepped into the store, you got a freshness of color, a cool, nice, calm sense. It was all blues and whites, and you know the what do you call that that the lamp stands on? The
wicker. Yeah, so lots of wicker, lots of tan and white and blue. I took a picture of one of the pillows that was in the back. They had a garden in the back.
So I got so excited. And you got to take a picture of me. You know, when you get to a store and you can kind of borrow their
furniture. Yeah, exactly. So here she is. She's lounging in the back.
So why not, right?
Exactly. And that really gives you a good sense of how blue everything is, and the fact that there's sort of a lot of stripes. Let's see. I also had a picture, I think, of one of the pillows, just to give you guys a sense of. Oops, I'm not supposed to move that. I'm supposed to move this. Right, so this pillow is the pillows that this sort of chaise longue that she's sitting on, just has blue and white striped pillows, but they also then had a side chair or side area with beautiful embroidered. Right, there's an embroidered pillow.
Yes, it was. Mm-hmm.
But to your point, it's so pretty because it was very clean and blue and white and beige and really gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And we loved the let me see if I can close this one. One of the things we loved that you can see in this picture here is in that back seating area, they just had this incredible mix of art.
I love that. You don't have to have everything lined up perfectly straight. It could be a little bit upside down. You have a mirror in there, which, you know, makes it another dimension to the whole thing. And you know, you mix watercolors with oils, maybe even a picture. Yeah, it's a great homey feeling.
Yeah, yeah. And when you first walk in, there was a hydrangea, this big sort of hydrangea plant on a big table when you first walked in. And then all the way along one wall was all of their different fabrics and wallpapers on very small swatches, little sort of square swatches. Yeah. But you could see that there were lots of stripes and lots of gingham, and then a few very simple florals thrown in. Yeah. But very, very clean and not complicated. Not too many colors, very curated.
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes I get in the mood of, you know, I'm having an upcoming art show, and these kind of things makes me, I get a feeling of maybe this is what I get so inspired of the interiors that maybe those are the colors that I'm gonna use in my upcoming paintings. That's a little bit how I am. I kind of change, you know. So this, for me, this is summer. In the fall, it's more of maybe this rusty colors. Then you have the spring, you have the pastels, and so you never know. There might be a bluish theme this fall or like in the next show.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that was so fun, and we still have a few more pictures to show you, is it was so fun to go together because we saw different things.
Yeah. Well, you always do, you know.
Well, you made a beeline for the back.
Yeah.
As soon as we walked into that store, there was a door open in the very back of the store, and I didn't know what was back there, but you went straight to the back.
I knew right away. Okay, and come over here, take a picture of me.
Yeah, they had this beautiful garden in the back, and it was all enclosed with beautiful big hedges, green hedges.
And that's pretty cool. I mean, that's not very often you have an outside space like that for a store. Yeah. But then we kept walking, and the next place we came to, we couldn't walk into. We had to actually ring a bell because the door was locked.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're going to show you that it's a fancy French wallpaper place.
Yeah.
And also on Sacramento Street.
Yes.
It was on Sacramento Street, just a couple of doors down. And it's called, let me bring this up and then touch this guy so you can see it. And then I'll try to make this, I'll see if I can make this a little bit bigger. It's called de Gournay, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
I'm sure you are.
De Gournay, but it's incredibly ornate, right? So we went from being in this very serene, the place is called Serena and Lily, and it's very clean.
Yes.
Very white, green, blue.
Yeah, beachy.
Beachy. And then we come into this store where super ornate.
Yeah. I loved it. And the ceilings were wallpapered. I don't know if you can see on this picture that it's got a whole bunch of little sheets, almost like, what's the double size of an A4? I mean an A3. I don't know what size that is, but I think so. They used to have all these sheets that came in a fruit. Is that what she said? Like in a basket, and they used to paint on the bottom paper there, and so that's how they ended up with all the sheets. But nowadays they kind of just looks like they are different sheets. They come in big panels, she said, but so they are all hand painted. I think she said in
so there are two. So what's interesting, so I'm gonna I want to move you over, come over this way, just so that when you're talking you're in the frame. And I don't need to be in the frame, but Maria's here as a guest, so she has to be in the frame. And so this was fascinating. Okay, so this is a super high-end French wallpaper company. It's called De Gournay. D-E is small D-E, first word. Second word is something like Gouray. De Gournay. And they're in Paris. They're in the 6th, I think there's stores on Rue du Bac or something like that. And they now have this store in San Francisco. But when you ask them where everything is manufactured, everything is hand painted in China. And then they also have some of their pieces that have added embroidery to them. And all of the embroidery is done in India.
In India.
So nothing is done in France.
No.
Nothing is done in France.
Yeah.
However, the design work, in terms of, one of the things that was amazing is they had different rooms. So you can sort of tell in that picture that there's a room in the back that has...
that was the golden room, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the gold. Yeah, and you had a great conversation with her back in that room about the gold. Do you remember?
Well, it was like, when you have a gold painting, it's of course shines.
It's like foil. It's gold foil or something.
So it gets a glare or something. And then they had painted some trees and also some clouds in a matte color. So I had a painting once, and my teacher told me, try to always make the picture more interesting by mixing the two, the shiny with the matte. And this is really what happened in this wallpaper, I think.
Yeah,
we don't have a really good picture of it, unfortunately, but
so I think that one of the things we were talking to each other about too is, part of the time when you're doing an exploratory trip like this, you're in the moment.
Yeah.
And you actually want to be experiencing being in the moment, and not be taking pictures all the time, because you're in the moment. You're talking to this woman whose name is Yasmin, and she's from Lebanon, but she also speaks French. And she was the director of the store, and she was walking us from room to room and explaining everything. And you don't want to be taking a picture every 5 seconds when you're trying to have a conversation with the woman who's running the store. And so then, of course, we left, and we should have gone back and said, now we need to take pictures. But which part of what we were then talking about afterwards was, it's important to just focus on what you're learning in that moment without worrying about the pictures.
Yeah, exactly. And I hope we can explain it to you so you understand what we mean. But they also had one room that they had used fabric instead of wallpaper, which was really, really nice. And of course I was thinking, maybe I can wallpaper a room with my own fabric. That would be really cool to try.
Yeah, so what was super cool about it was, and what we'll do is we'll go back through our pictures.
Yeah.
And if there are other ones we'd like everybody to see, we'll put them into a little mini presentation. And when I upload the replay of this video, for any of you who want it, we can include the presentation so you can then see more of the pictures. But the thing about when we walked into the room that had the fabric that had the embroidery on it, it basically was just an off-white kind of fabric. It was an off-white kind of almost burlap-y feeling.
Yeah.
But immediately you came into the room and it was very quiet.
Yeah.
You could tell that by adding fabric to the walls, it created this dampening effect to the sound. Mm-hmm. And then they basically had embroidered palm trees. Mm-hmm. So big, long trunk, and then all of the beautiful fronds of the palm tree. Mm-hmm. Just essentially 2 colors. Right? Yeah. The palm trees were kind of this sort of it was sort of a rusty, reddish, golden color, and maybe there were a couple of different fabrics, not fabrics, but a couple of different fiber colors.
I think so. Mm-hmm. All I know is that mine won't be as 2 colors. It'll be more.
Yours will be more. Yours will be more than 2 colors. Yeah, it'll be more than 2 colors. And so let's see. Did we want to say anything else about that? We also then went into this incredible store that had. So we're going to do this picture and this picture. We don't even remember the name of this store.
We just know it was on Fillmore Street.
It was on Fillmore Street.
Yes.
And these are the 2 pictures we wanted to show you. Let me close that one so that it's not confusing. So this is the tea towel table. Mm-hmm. And this is their hand towel display. And so the whole thing in that on the round table were tea towels.
Yeah.
Really amazing display. And then closer to the front door, they had this, they were using sort of a little bit of a ladder, kind of like where I have my wrapping papers behind me on a ladder for these hand towels. And these illustrations were just beautiful. You can't really see them in the picture, but they're super beautiful embroidery for the peacock and that bunch of flowers that are, I think they're called alliums,
right?
Allium, maybe.
Allium, yeah.
And then of course the Golden Gate Bridge was depicted, and that was amazing. It was really pretty. And then they had your trays.
They had, right away I saw that they had some trays in there, and I do the same at home. So I went up to them and I looked in the backside, and of course they are made in the little, place where I make mine in the south of Sweden. So that was funny. And I asked the man, how are these doing? Are you selling lots? And he said, yes, they are very, very popular.
So there are all kinds of things here from Sweden. So that store had the same tray manufacturer. Her trays are more beautiful because they just had flat images on the trays, and Maria has her fabric embedded in the trays.
Yeah, so that means that they can turn out a little bit different. They are a little bit more originals, I guess. Because they don't look exactly the same.
Hers do not look exactly the same. So these were all exactly the same. Yeah. Although they had nice different shapes. You have nice different shapes too, like long trays and round trays and bigger trays. So they had a nice arrangement of, a nice assortment.
They really did.
But when you felt them, the thing about Maria's trays is you feel them, and underneath the lacquer is the fabric, so you can feel the dimensionality of the fabric, which is amazing. And then of course each piece is a different piece of fabric, so it's not exactly the same area of the pattern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was fun. And
then I discovered that like Oatly milk, right? The Oatly milk that we drink every day is from Sweden.
Yeah. And your doormat outside of your front door.
So talk about the doormat outside my front door.
It's a brand called Pappelina, and it's made in a loom, or probably in a machine, but I mean that's the way it
could
looks. But it's in plastic, so it's really, really good that you can have it outside and you can wash it. And I didn't notice it when I first came here, but then we went to the store and you told me, oh, this is where I got my little doormat, and I'm like, oh no, that's Swedish.
Right.
So I do have dish rags that I used to bring over, And I should have gone into it because I know the stores in Canada, they have so many Swedish dish rags. So yeah, maybe it's not impossible to get your things over here, even though it's,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, you think that it would be hard, but it's
Yeah.
actually not.
You just need what do you call it? You need somebody to...
You need an importer. Or
An importer.
You need an
Yes,
importer,
I need an
right? You need an importer so you don't have to handle that
Yeah.
part of the business.
Yeah.
So then we had a couple of other super fun pictures that we have to show you. We have to show you this one and this one. Right? These are so beautiful. So it's such a treat to have an opportunity. So Maria and I had met once before.
Yeah.
So when I went to Paris last year, I flew up to Copenhagen, and Maria met me in Copenhagen.
Yes.
So we've known each other since 2019.
Yep.
That's how we first met. She found me on the internet because I was doing my From Doodles to Dollars, and so she found From Doodles to Dollars. And right, you saw my cute little ad for Doodles to Dollars
I sure did.
in 2019. And so we had never met. And then, of course, there was the pandemic, and no one can travel. And then finally, we actually met last year. And now she's here, and we're meeting again in my hometown.
Yeah,
which
so
is
nice.
so
Such
fun.
a cute town.
So fun. And so we did a cute little tour of Mill Valley, and we wanted to show you these beautiful pictures of the two of us. So this is her arriving at my front door, and I have this beautiful kind of tomato biscuit color on my front door, and she's wearing another one of her gorgeous dresses. Right? Look how beautiful that dress looks on with the back
With the door.
with the backdrop of the door. And then she has this beautiful long dress. So she's expanding her whole line of gorgeous linen dresses. So talk a little bit more about how you're expanding this part of your business.
Well, I'm just trying out new models, and so that means that if I try out a new model, I just get one for me, and I want to kind of live in it and see how it feels. This one, I did one mistake. I wanted a
You wanted to slit up the
yeah,
side. Yeah, she wanted
because
to slit
it was
up
a
the
little
side.
bit, it was a little bit warm, but it's so warm here in California. It's not really that warm in Sweden, so maybe it's okay over there. But anyways, it's fun to try new models, and I'm gonna hopefully go to this meet the designer, or like to make my own design and go to the factory, and then you can make it even more personal.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to show you guys. So she's been here for 3 days, and she had a different dress every day. That's one of her designs. And of course, I wear a different shirt every day also. That is one of my designs. But the picture on the all the way on the left that you guys can see has its beautiful dark purples. Right? So beautiful.
Yeah.
Then the one in the middle is the long dress that she wanted to have the slit added, so it's a little easier to walk in it.
Yeah.
But it's really beautiful, and it's ivy, right? It's blue ivy, kind of branches or sprigs. And there's parts of that also embedded on her website. So when you go to mazart.se, and Pauline Riley will make sure that her website is in the comments, so you guys can go check it out. But you'll see little parts of that fabric design on the website, which is so pretty. And then you can't really see when she's lounging on the lounge chair. That's yet another dress. And you have to say, like, every place we went, everyone asked about her dress.
That's been amazing. That people have been coming up to me and say, "Oh, where did you get that dress?" And it makes me so happy, Anne.
Yeah. So the first person who asks her about her dress is at the airport. Have you told Jane the story?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Oh, so Jane, I just got off the plane, and this lady came up to me and I said, "Oh, I love your dress. Where did you get it?" And blah, blah, blah. And I said, "I made it myself," and So then we meet up again when we pick up our luggage. So we start to talk, and she says to me, "I live in Walnut Creek." I said, "Oh, I know somebody in Walnut Creek. Her name is Jane." And she goes, "Oh, no way. I've been sewing for her." So she took one of your classes. I don't remember her name right now, but I'm going to show you a picture when we get there this afternoon. And isn't it such a small world? It is so fun.
It's amazing. So I pull up in my cute little Prius to pick Maria up, and I get out of the car and I give her a huge hug. And the first thing she tells me is, I just met someone who knows Jane Foster. So it is a small world.
Yes,
when we attract the people who are going to be inspired by the type of creative work that we do and the art we put out into the world.
Exactly.
But like every store, so the woman who helped it at Britex said, "Oh my gosh, I love your dress. Where did you get your dress?" And then we could talk. You could describe. It's her watercolor. It's the watercolors that are vertical. Beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. And then basically every store we went into, we're of course looking at this beautiful art and we're looking at all this embroidery and this wallpaper and the fabric, and everyone is saying, "Wow, where did you get that dress?" So it was so inspiring to go to see these stores together.
Yeah, it was.
And compare notes afterwards because you picked up on things I didn't pick up on, and it was so much fun.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. So I'm going to check just to see if any of you guys have any questions for us while we're here. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I'll make sure the replay is available. Hey, Tommy Sapp. So I usually recognize almost every name that's of somebody who makes a comment, and sometimes I haven't seen you in a while, and so it's so lovely to see some names that we haven't seen in a while. Tara Lee is here. Hello, 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 and but if you guys have any questions before we go, we can't stay on too late because it takes about an hour to get to Jane's, and we're having lunch with Jane. And so we have to wrap up and start driving.
Yeah.
and start driving. But Kathleen Lambert is watching. Oh. Hello, Kathleen. And it was such a pleasure to have Kathleen visit me also a couple years ago now. So Kathleen, you're due for a visit.
Yeah.
And let's see, I also want to give a big shout out to Pauline Riley. So Pauline Riley, thank you so much for being such an incredible community manager and for posting the link to Maria's website in the comments so that people can follow her. And she's going to be talking a little bit more soon about your watercolor club. She has an incredible watercolor club where you can join, and once a month you get an assignment. It's a watercolor piece to do. And I cannot tell you how much I appreciate Maria's style because she's very step-by-step, and I'm not a very good watercolor artist yet. I'm working on my watercolor techniques. But one of the best things about this membership, which is called the Watercolor Club, and you can learn more about it at Maria's website, which is mazart.se, because she's in Sweden, is she does it's a different piece every month. So sometimes it might be floral, sometimes it might be organic, sometimes it might be a landscape. But she gives you a warm-up exercise to kind of get your juices flowing, because it can be really hard to jump right into something. Mm-hmm. And it's also just, there's one thing a month, so it's not overwhelming.
No.
You have these warm-up exercises that are super helpful to kind of get you going. Then you do your best to replicate the piece or create your version of whatever the piece is each month. And there's this incredible community, including Jane Foster and many other people who are here today. Kathleen, who post their work in a private Facebook group, and seeing the comparison of the different way people interpreted the assignment. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, getting Maria's feedback on, why did you have a little hard edge here, or how do you need to, her whole mantra is let the water flow.
Yes, it
and
sure is.
We have to get more comfortable with more water.
Yeah, it's true, because it's, and also there's two things: more water and a bigger brush. I think that's very important. And my husband is from Canada, so that's why I'm also over here. And so the month of August, we're going to paint a landscape from the Rockies, or around Whistler. It's not really the Rockies, but a mountain landscape. So if you're interested, just let me know if you want to be in there. Yeah, so go to mazart.se and you can join your email list so that you get notifications, but you also can make sure you scroll down and you'll see where you can learn more about the membership. Yeah.
and it's an incredible experience. One of the things that was amazing also about that French wallpaper store is they had a video of people creating an incredibly ornate design, and they used two really big fat brushes
on a small area.
Yeah, and they were holding two brushes at the same time. It's called the two brush technique.
Yeah.
And they were making very detailed lines in two different colors by flipping back and forth between the brushes. But the brush top, the head of the brush was really fat.
But you can't just have a big brush. You got to have a good tip, and it's got to hold the water. So that's kind of the key. You know, you can't just go out and buy a big brush and think you're going to do that. So it also, you know, if you have a big brush with a really nice tip on it, you can really make small details with this huge thing. So yeah.
So thank you all so much for joining me today. So, you know, I like to say in closing, you're going to do Let the Water Flow, and I'm going to do It's Never Too Late to Create. So I always close by saying I am Anne LaFollette. And it's never too late to create, because I only started on this creative journey when I turned 60 years old. So it's never too late to create. And Maria, how do you like to sign off?
I like to sign off like, hi, Maria from Berg, Sweden. And I always like to say, let the water flow. And I say, hej då.
Hej då. I'll be back next week. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was so much fun, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.